Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Our guest today holds a bachelor's degree in pharmacy. He is the host of the Suspended Animation podcast, and as a professional photographer, has photographed more than 5,000 people.
Yes.
Today, he's going to show you how to accelerate your sales process with the best personal branding practices. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and help us welcome to the Win Sales Now podcast, our good friend, Darren Saul.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. What a lovely intro.
It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Oh,
Now,
thank you.
when I was stalking you on LinkedIn, I saw your lovely photo, and then I started to read about you and where you've been and what you've been doing. And then I learned that you hold a bachelor's degree in pharmacy.
I do
How do
indeed.
you go from holding a bachelor's degree in pharmacy to photographing more than 5,000 people? What was the turning point?
I love it. Very good question. I'm one of those people, I think, where every few years, I start doing something different. I have an inkling to have a bit of a career change. And so I've done loads of different things in my life. But I studied pharmacy from 89 to 93.
So that was your drug dealing days?
They were my drug dealing days. And I practiced for a little while. And then I moved through the transition and I worked for a pharmaceutical company called Merck Sharp and Dome as a sales rep as well, which is a lot of fun. I've done a bit of work in recruitment. So then I always say to myself or to other people, I've gone from selling drugs to selling people.
Yeah.
And 6-7 years ago, I picked up an old hobby of mine, which was photography. And it became an absolute obsession. And I just dove right in. And that's been my journey up to this point.
Incredible. And this is a common story that we see with our customers and our friends, is that after school, they have good intentions and they go to university and they study something and they say, this is not my heart's desire.
Yep.
This is not my passion. And for a lot of them, they then take that leap of faith into business.
Yep.
And they pursue their dreams. But a few others, they put themselves through years of pain and heartache, and they start to say to themselves, why would I get out of pharmacy? I get my 5 days a week. I get my 4 weeks of holidays a year. And if I just work for 10 years, I'll get long service leave. I don't really like what I do. It's not bad. My boss is not a complete asshole. But, if I just do it for 40 years, I'll be able to retire with a pension.
Yep.
And we're finding a lot of people who follow us here, they're at that transition point as well, where they've started business, but now they've got to re-educate.
Yes.
So with personal branding, Darren, we talk about first impressions. And the experts have been saying over the years that it takes about 4 seconds to make a good first impression. Now that's based face to face. But with the way that social media works, you can flick through the internet so fast, you can scroll through social media. And I believe it's within a fraction of a second that people are now judging us based on these photos.
Absolutely agree.
As the expert in this field, how do we make a good first impression with the right photo? Can you educate us on that?
Yeah, great question. And I'm talking about this more and more these days with different people. I mean, marketing has become a huge part of everything we do. Anybody that does anything is marketing in some way. Even if it's your personal brand or your professional brand, you're all marketing. And as marketers, we have to think like marketers in this new age. And this new age is so noise heavy and volume heavy that we have to know how to grab attention as quickly as we can. And as you say, a good photograph has to grab someone's attention in a fraction of a second because there are so many other photographs right underneath or right above. And really, for me, it boils down to 2 things. Number one, you can spot a photograph that hasn't been done professionally in a millisecond. So, someone's taken a photo on their iPhone or they've got their friend to take a selfie or whatever. You can spot that straight away. If it has, just by the way the angle of the camera works, the lens choices, the editing and the processing of the photograph, the depth of field. I won't get too photographic technical, but you can really spot that in milliseconds. And so definitely you can tell between a professional photograph or an amateur photograph. And number two is you need to also make sure that that photograph is actually portraying the real you. And it's giving you an emotional connection with your viewer. You know, it's no use having a photo that looks amazing, but it's not you. And then when someone actually finally meets you or dives in to learn more about you, there's a total discordance between that. So it's really, really.
I'm going to just disrupt this for a moment.
Yeah, go for it.
We're going to put this to the test. So somebody says, this is my photo and it's got to represent the real you. So the question is this the real you?
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's great. The old brick phone.
Absolutely. And you know, I've seen photos on LinkedIn and social media of people in the 80s.
Wow. Hey, look at this.
So you're the expert. People see this on a LinkedIn profile. How do they respond emotionally? Because you're talking about connecting emotionally. How do you respond? And then we'll see how Nini responds, because if I know my wife, she should be really turned on by these first two photos. Right. What's your opinion?
Has she got a thing for mobile phones, has she?
This massive phone.
Look, I mean, these are all good photographs in their own right. But again, like with the first photo of the guy with the mobile phone, it's a little bit cheeky and, you know, funny and comical and tongue in cheek. But unless this guy was selling mobile phones or had a telecommunications company, putting that on your LinkedIn profile would just totally throw someone right off.
Call me, baby. Call me.
You know, so there's definitely, and the second one, for example, really nice photograph, but it's more of an elegant photograph. It looks like he's done this at a friend's wedding or something. You know, with a wedding photographer, and the lighting has gone slightly transitioned from left to right. He's in a suit with a bow tie, the blue background. It's not a professional photograph that grabs you. You know, he looks more like an actor or an actor or a musician or a comedian than a business person. So it's really about, you know, what are you trying to say? Who are you? And how do you want to get that message across? And making sure that photo is in line with that. So all these photos have their place, but it depends on what they're trying to say.
I could imagine Austin Powers saying, "Good, baby, very good,
good, baby, absolutely." The third one is actually a bit better. It's just a nice, clean photo. The background is, you know, interesting. I like the color but it's at least just a nice, happy, smiley, pleasant, approachable face, and you know, it's passable as a LinkedIn photograph. It's not the best, but it's passable.
What emotions does it trigger off in you when you see the first guy here, Nini? This guy on the left.
I do not want to date him.
You don't want to date him?
No, I don't want to date him.
My marriage is not on the rocks, so I'm safe.
Darren, Darren. I know that there's a lot of, you know, business people come to you for the professional photograph, and just you know, in your case, have you seen anybody, you know, after done the professional photo shoot with you and they realize their sales just have a, you know, increase? You know, before they have very bad photo, but after come to you, you have, you know, everything done so beautifully, and then put down their website and the sales. Whew.
Absolutely. What a great question. And I've got a little case study for you. Just the other day, a very good friend of mine came to my home studio.
Yep.
And he's going through a career change after many years doing one thing. And he wanted like a whole new look. And he wanted to even make a little bit of a press release around that whole new career change. So he said, Daz, I'm coming to you. I'm booking you in. We're going to do a little photo shoot. And so he came to my place. He brought a few different outfits. And I set up the lighting. And we took we took loads of photos, but we ended up with 3 very different photos, both in terms of landscape versus portrait versus outfits versus backgrounds. And I put that on LinkedIn as a bit of a promotional post for me, and also as a bit of a press release for him. And that was my most visited, commented post on LinkedIn since I started. It was like almost 3,000 views and comments on these 3 photographs. That's it. And he said, wow, you've made me a LinkedIn star.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And people are all commenting, wow, you look amazing. You look as good as ever. Congratulations. Great job, Darren. Great job. Like, it was amazing. So it just goes to show you the power of photography and making sure that you try and build something that's in line with your mission and your vision.
In our book, Win Sales Now, we talk about marriage material, and we encourage our customers to have great photos, because when you introduce somebody, you know, I've got to think to myself, would I introduce this person to my wife?
Yeah.
And if I was having a look at, you know, this photo here, would I introduce one of my female clients to him? Look, he could be the nicest guy in the world, but based on that photo, I know my female clients, if they're anything like my wife, they would freak out.
Absolutely. Yep.
So we've got to think about marriage material. Would I want to wake up in the bed next to this person? As a male, no, I wouldn't. And I'm pretty sure my wife wouldn't either. But when we have a look at your photos here, they're so natural. You know, if I was recommending any of these people based on their photo, I know my clients would feel safe. They would feel no risk about meeting these people. And it's real and it's non-threatening.
Definitely. And that's what it's about. It's about having a friendly, open, approachable face and creating the right relationship visually, because that's where it all starts. It starts with a visual, and then you go further and get to know someone in a non-visual way.
Yeah.
No, here there's not one profile photo here that I would not click on.
Oh, that's fantastic. I appreciate it.
Based on these photos. And we say that today in the digital world is people are going to do all of their research on you online. And it's all about clicks. If they look at the photo and they're turned off, you know, the experts say 4 seconds. We believe it's less in the social media world. You've just lost a sale opportunity based on 100%. Your profile. But if you get a click and they start to look through your profile, that's a sales result.
Definitely. And it's really interesting. It's almost like you have to have your visual trigger first, your visual attracting surface first, and then everything else in your website has to be built in line with that. Yeah. And a lot of people do it the other way around. And then they wonder why they're not getting their clicks on the website or their social media engaged with. You know, you have to start with the external and then move to the internal.
What are your thoughts here? Does the photo have to represent you now? Because I go to a lot of networking events and I will see people's profiles, and then I'll go to the event and I'll look for them and I can't find them.
Yep.
Or if I've been to the event and I've met them, then I go to their profile later on, I don't recognize them.
Yep.
And what happens to me is I get into a state of confusion. And I know that if I'm in a state of confusion, it's impossible to make a buying decision.
Definitely.
And I can't take the next step because I'm confused. You know, as the expert in the field, how important is it that it represents you today?
Great question. And it just struck me while you were speaking that, you know, everything we do from a marketing point of view has to be honest and allow ourselves and our audience to build trust and credibility. So straight away, if you have a photograph that doesn't look like you, or it looked like you 10 years ago, you're automatically, your alarm bells go up and you're wondering, very good. And you're wondering, what else are they hiding? Or what else don't they want to disclose? Because they don't even want to show me what they look like now. So it's a subconscious discordance between who they are and and the relationship they want to build with you and what information they want to convey. And then I'll take it even further. I mean, we've all been on, well, I have fun when I go on a dating app.
Yep.
And I look through the photos, and some people have them professionally done because you can see they're done really well. And then you meet them and they look nothing like that.
Yep.
Or sometimes they have their favorite photo from 5 years ago. Yep. And that's the photo they love because they like the way they look. And they keep using that same photo for the next 5-10 years. And then you go meet them, and of course they don't look anything like that either. So again, you know, there's this, it's almost like you're breaking trust when you're not forthcoming with your visual imagery. And a lot of people, like a lot of professionals, will update their photograph every year for that reason.
Yeah.
It's true about these dating apps. A friend of mine years ago, when the dating apps weren't as technology advanced as they are today, he would see a profile photo and he knew based on experience that the person he was going to meet would look nothing like that photo. So what he'd do is he'd ask the person to meet him in a public place and sit at the window. And what he'd do is he'd drive past in his car and look out the window.
Yep.
And he'd say, do they match the photo or not?
Mm-hmm.
And if they were a close match, he'd only drink one beer out of the 6-pack he had on the passenger seat. If they look nothing like the photo, he'd drink all 6 to build up his confidence.
Oh my God.
That's
impressive. So he actually still went in?
He still went in because he said, well, you know, I'm here. I've driven here. I've got the beers. If I have to make a really good impression, I'll only have 1 beer because they match the photo. But if they look nothing like it, he's like, I'll just drown the sorrow and cut my losses early on.
I love it. That's brilliant.
So what can our friends and followers do today with their personal branding to increase their sales results? And when we talk about sales results, a sales result today is getting a click on your profile.
Definitely.
So what can they do today to increase their clicks?
Perfect. Well, look, a number of different things. First of all, talk to a few photographers, but you must get visual imagery done by a professional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't get a friend to do it unless the friend's a photographer, but it's got to be quality. And even during that process, allow yourself a bit of time, because a lot of people, you know, they think, oh, I can do a headshot in 20 seconds and I'm off, put my suit on and I'm into my next appointment. But it actually takes time. Like, you got to work with the photographer for a good hour, half an hour to 1 hour, take a few different takes. You know, it's a marriage between the photographer and the subject. So the magic happens when you're open to working with another photographer and allowing magic to happen during the process. And then people at the end of the process say, wow, I can't believe, look what we've got. I'm not, a lot of the time people say, oh, I'm not photogenic. I'm not photogenic at all. What can we do? I said, don't worry. We're going to have some fun. We're going to take different angles. And by the end of it, they're relaxed, their guard's down, they're having fun, they're smiling, and they had an amazing experience, and they came out with a photo that was very true to who they are. So definitely work with a professional photographer and allow yourself the time to work the process properly. Don't do it in a rush, because it's only going to be self-defeating.
Yeah.
Interesting you say that. We had an experience doing video a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Had some great videos done, introduced some clients to a videographer, and they didn't get along with the videographer and his assistant. And when we got all the videos back, my clients, and we spent a good half a day in the studio, all of the videos were the worst I'd ever seen.
Oh, no.
And based on the output, we cancelled the whole production.
Oh,
and I went back and I surveyed my customers and I said, what happened on that day? And they were very reluctant to say, but it all boiled down to they just didn't get along with the person behind the camera.
Definitely.
And it didn't bring out the best. You could see the tension in their face. Their body was rigid. There was no flow.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying here, it is a marriage. It takes time. You got to feel safe. And what I know about you, Darren, is you're great behind the lens, but you're also great in front of the lens.
Oh, thank you.
And a lot of photographers just aren't good in front of the lens. And so my personal recommendation, I can't speak for Nini, but you've got to find a photographer who's great behind and in front, so you're comfortable.
100%. And that's something that I say a lot in my catchphrase, the catchphrases in my marketing. Like, there are a lot of great photographers out there, but creating an experience, engaging with the subject, making them feel comfortable, allowing them to have fun, allowing them to trust you. That's where the real magic in photography lies. Photography is a service business, and you have to build relationships with your clients. It's not about just that, but it's a service business, you know? And it's the same in doing events, headshots or events. You know, you have to make people feel comfortable, because they won't want to take a photo. People will run away.
Yeah. Just
100%.
same like our experience. You know, there's a one photographer we have been using for the past few years, and then like this year, I asked Daniel, "Hey, I think it's about the time we have some new photo taken this year."
Yeah.
And then I asked, "Do you want to change? You know, different photographer to try?" And then he said, "I'm very happy with the one that we had the past few years because we feel so comfortable with him."
And
And he speaks English.
And he speaks English.
That's the most important. He speaks English.
Because he's here in Taiwan. And the other thing was that he's not just good with us, he was good with the kids, and he was good with the dog even after the dog tried to attack him.
That's right.
There you go. Oh, I've had a great story like that as well.
Yeah. So
now, for people who are watching today and they're considering about getting some new photos done, and they'd like to have a look at your work and connect with you, what's the best place to connect with you, Darren?
Sure, fantastic. Well, my company name is Suspended Animation. So you can go to my website, which is www.suspendedanimatio.com.au, all one word. You can find me on Facebook, which is Suspended Animation Photo. You can find me on Instagram, which is Suspended Animation with 3 N's.
Yeah.
And even if you just Google Suspended Animation Photography, you'll probably see me up in the top 1 to 5, and you'll find me.
Excellent. We'll also share the links to your socials in the feed below, and make sure you head over and connect with Darren today. And even if you'd just like to speak to him and ask some advice on what's happening out there at the moment on your profiles, I'm sure he'll be willing to take some time and give you some great feedback.
Definitely. Would only be too happy to do that.
Final thoughts before we wrap up, wife?
Yep. I think I really resonate what Darren have shared with us. You know, the pictures is really important, especially for the marketing. So yeah,
definitely.
All the experts said.
One thing I read recently is when you have your marketing photos done, also pass them over to a female. And I've got one client here in Sydney, Rebecca Jarrett Dalton, and if I have photos done, or there's a photo of somebody that I want feedback from, I always send it to her. And I say, hey, check this out. And she always gives great feedback.
And that's actually a really good tip, because everybody has their own vision of what they look like. And it might not be that objective. So it's always good to get a second or third opinion and get an idea as to how that photo is being responded to. Great tip.
I had some criticism on one of my photos, and the guy made comments, oh, it looks like you're trying to be a GQ model. And I said to Nini, let's test this. So I sent it over to Rebecca, and she's like, I love that photo. And she's been a client for more than 4 years. And that's the real test. We sent it over and she said, love it. So what do? We use it 10 times more just to...
Absolutely. Blow it up. Make it as big as possible.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you head over and follow Darren Saul from Suspended Animation. And we look forward to speaking to you soon. Darren, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Guy. It's been an absolute pleasure. See you later, everybody.
See you, mate.